Ladies and gentlemen, how the hell are you? Jeff Kiesel, Kiesel Guitars. It's good to be back on a Wednesday with our normal scheduled live Q&A. Last week, we moved our Q&A to Tuesday, the day before, because I had surgery on my nose. Trying to open some things up to breathe better. I have a deviated septum, or had a deviated septum. So things are getting better, still a little bit of pain. Nothing crazy, but I don't take pain medication, so but feeling a lot better. I still can't get out in the shop and work. I kind of snuck out there a little bit today. I didn't do any work, but I was going around checking on different things. But I'm supposed to keep everything like dust free. So if you hear me sniffing and stuff, sorry. I'm going to do my best to get through this. Sometimes you get some weird, after surgeries, you get some weird drainages and things like that. So hopefully we will be able to make it through this without any of that. Of course, I have my deal of the hour and I have my top of the hour. So I'm going to get into those. If you like either the deal of the hour or the top of the hour, you can call my guys and say, hey, I want it. So I'm going to do the top of the hour first. Might be hard to see with the lighting that we have in here. This is a 5A flame top that has some chevroning into it. What chevroning is when the grain is running at an angle. And that happens when the tree branch is growing out. It'll split the way the flames or the quilts are running. And so you have a lot of chevroning going on here. This top I'm going to let go for $400. It's going to work on any of our guitar base models that are not the carved top thickness. So any of our standard thickness guitars and basses, which is the majority. It's all of our basses, but it's the majority of our guitars as well. So the code on this is TH, top of the hour, 5/3, 5th month, 3rd week. That's usually how my coding works. Try to make some sense of it. So if you like this top, you can call the guys and say, hey, I want that beautiful 5A chevron flame maple top. Let me get it a little closer. I don't want to get past the light, but it's got such amazing flame on that. So that is the top. And for my deal of the hour, we're going to do a 22 fret guitar. We don't do very many 22 frets on these lives. I think we've only done a couple, a handful. So this Aries features a select Aurora Blue finish over this one-piece ash body. Aries with the trim. It's 25.5-inch scale, 22 frets. Beautiful maple fretboard, maple neck. And let me look at some of the options on this that are not so obvious, like the maple headstock with the drop shadow silver, ivory nut, chrome hardware, Kiesel trim, covered pickups, beryllium pickups. Now let's see what else we got on this. The headstock is a GT6. We have a regular stainless steel fret, so the medium jumbo. We're going to have 14-inch fretboard radius on this. And I think that is it. The truss rod cover in cream. The rest I already got. So this guitar with the, I forgot to put my phone on silent. There you go. This guitar with the case shipped to your door. We're going to go $1,500. You know, keep in mind it's got a one-piece swamp ash body, which does increase the price. The trim, of course, is going to bump up the price. 22 frets. All of those options are charge options. We will be going up July 1 on all of our models. We also are going up on swamp ash, 2-piece and 1-piece bodies, and various other options. So if that is something of interest to you and you've wanted a 22 fret Aries, well, there you go. Beautiful guitar. Let me put my phone on silent so we don't get further interruptions. Way to go, Zach. All right. It's not Zach's fault. I just thought that was good. We got some guitars over here, customer guitars. This thing is badass. We don't see as much spalted maple. We still have a lot of it. I still love working with this. It's beautiful spalted maple. You see the black lines running through there. Nice flame in that. Beautiful roasted flame maple fretboard. The black inlays. Love that K there. The neck on the back. Walnut with the bloodwood. Absolutely gorgeous. And this one is for Ross. Ross, this was actually estimated completion date was the 14th. And what are we today? The 18th? 19th. So not bad, right? So just a few days behind, but a beautiful HD, covered pickups. The thing I like about these HDs is it bridges the gap between something more old school and something very new school. And it sounds like we have something sold. Flock, what the hell did you sell now?
Yeah, dude, I got guys waiting for that top. I got like 2 guys. So
Okay.
First up was Brandon McVeigh, my boy.
Okay.
Wants to know if we can do that on a Becker because he's been ironing
Absolutely,
Becker.
yeah.
Perfect.
We could do that on a Becker.
We're gonna snag that.
Okay, Brandon McVeigh on a Becker. Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, we had 3 people trying to buy that top. Wow, that's crazy. Damn, well, Brandon McVeigh, you got it, dude. Winner. All right, let's show this one off. The thing I really like about Buckeye, this is a Buckeye top, is the difference each piece can look. So you have this master grade top with all of this burling and quilting and the compression flame that's going outward, these beautiful lines in here that we had to, fill with more Buckeye. Such a classy looking bass. And that's what makes Buckeye so unique. You can get a piece that's very cream. You can get one that's got a lot of gray in it, some greens, some browns. I think that we really did a good job with this one, looking at what the fretboard was going to look like, trying to tie in more of the brown and cream tones. This one is for Phil, and Phil's estimated completion date was 5/24. So we're actually early on this one. So we had, I don't know if you guys did this on purpose, but we're 5 days late on one and 5 days early on another one. That's how random. They're shaking their heads no that was just coincidence. So, that means we're averaging perfect, right? So that's not the case always, but, we are early on more than we're late on. We're early on about 70%, and I think we're late on about 20% right now, and then on time on about 10. Of course, you only hear about the ones we're late on. You don't hear about the ones we're early on. And speaking of early on, or just being completed, we do have a lot of instruments that are in our back room that are completed and need to be paid for. At this point, I think we're approaching 60 instruments that are done that you guys haven't made your final payments on. We do charge the storage fee of $100 per month that we're storing the instrument for. And that storage fee doesn't go towards your purchase price. That's an additional, meaning you have to make that $100 and then you still owe your full balance. And then you can have up to 3 late charges. So $300 total. And then at that point, we will keep all the storage fees, keep 20% of the instrument and then refund the rest. So we don't want to do that, of course, but just reminding you guys to be proactive with your builds. If you know something's getting close, be proactive getting your payments in. Make sure you get those paid off so we can get your beautiful instruments you've been patiently waiting for right out to you. On that note, let's do some questions.
Harold is asking, hey Jeff, any advantage chambering an Alder DC600? How does it compare chambering a neck through versus chambering a bolt-on?
Great question. I think first answering chambering a neck through versus a bolt-on, I think chambering a neck through has more advantage than a bolt-on because a neck through can typically be brighter. And so by chambering it, you're warming up that instrument. So if an instrument typically is brighter and you chamber it out, because of construction, you chamber it out, you're going to get a better rounding on the sound, in my opinion. Your benefit besides the tone is going to be a decrease in weight, about 4 to 5/10 of a pound, between almost a half a pound on an instrument. Some woods like walnut, on a bolt-on could be as much as 3/4 of a pound. But I think it's always a good bet to chamber out an instrument unless you're really looking for a lot of very tight machine gun picking. At that point, you might want to stay away from chambering, but if you're not doing a lot of really tight machine gun picking, I think chambering's the way to go.
How much are Splatter finishes?
I don't remember if we raised the price on those. I think we did recently raise the price on them, and I'm going to say $600. We were doing them for $300 for a while, and we were having too much after work, meaning we would clear the instrument and we'd have to sand it and then clear it again. And it's a lot of extra work for those. So I believe we went up to $600 to match our metal flake prices because of all the extra labor on the splatters.
Do you have any 3A maple tops?
No, I'll leave that to Gibson.
Nick Walton, any multi-scale light speeds to see yet?
Yeah, we've made those. Oh yeah.
What colors can't be KTB'd?
What colors can't be KTB'd? Really it's kind of any of the primary colors of the rainbow, that type of thing. We can do. I can't really think of what we can't do. Think about it like this: the lighter the color, the harder, because we're taking the wood grain and we're trying to enhance that. So if the wood grain is a maple color, a creamy color, it's hard to do a bright and vibrant color. So we're not going to be able to do like neons, things like that.
Any service or hardware replacement on existing models? I have a 2007 Carbon DC I'd love to replace the bridge on.
Yeah, you can call my guys. Absolutely.
John Gamrat, can I get the 6 shooter pickups on something other than the Johnny Highland?
You can, John. Absolutely. Good to see you in here, man.
Can you get a kill switch knob without deleting the tone knob?
Yes, so the kill switch typically is on the volume, and you pull up on the volume and it kills the instrument. That's how all of the K series come standard. So if that's something of interest to any of you guys, you can opt for a kill pull up on your volume knob.
Can you do an Arctic fade?
I'd have to have a little more than that. So our Arctic finishes are done a certain way. I don't know exactly what you mean by an Arctic fade. I could do something custom and cool, but it would not be Arctic.
Edward Arnold, hello Jeff. What brand tuners and strings do you use on your icon bases?
So the tuners are private labeled for us, and then the strings we're using Dunlop Super Brights.
Joseph is asking, what kind of blue is on that Aries?
That is Aurora Blue, Select Aurora Blue.
Why does Kiesel offer thinner profile roasted maple necks in here?
Because with the roasting process, we're really trying to make sure we get the neck as stable as possible, and having the thinner profile option destabilizes it some, removing some of that wood on there. And so we decided not to offer it anymore.
Lou is asking, I will have to watch later. My question is, could you tell me who the manufacturer is on the capacitor and the specs as well on the Johnny Highland model?
The capacitor for, I don't know off the top of my head on that. That'd be a service question. I'm sorry, dude.
What kind of tone will I get from an icon base with a mahogany body and walnut top?
You'll get a tone that'll cut through and it won't get muddy. That's one good thing about mahogany is it tightens up, especially bass frequencies, and they tend to come out, without that mud. So sometimes swamp ash can be a little muddy depending on what style of music you're playing, especially if it's rock, metal, and you're using a pick and you're trying to get that good pick articulation. Sometimes swamp ash just loses that. Where swamp ash shines is some slap. Slap, jazz, funk, things like that. So if you're not doing the slap, jazz, funk, and you're really doing metal and rock, I recommend mahogany bodies or walnut bodies for basses.
Do your guitars have a return warranty? Like if I get a bad neck or a rough one, can I just return it?
So we have a 5-year warranty on our instruments, which covers any manufacturer's defect. We do have a 10-day trial period on an instrument that you purchase from us. So if you didn't like the way something was fit, finish, feel, whatever, that would be the 10-day return. That wouldn't be a warranty thing. And pretty much all of our builds will have that. There are some times when you get certain options that make the instrument non-returnable due to rarities or, harder to resell. We'll call it what it is. In our experience, or at least my experience, is the more expensive an instrument is, the harder it is to resell. And the reason for that is when you've worked really hard and saved up $3,000 or $4,000 for, your pinnacle centerpiece instrument, you don't want to compromise on anything. So you want to order it exactly the way you want. So when someone orders it like that, typically they're master grade woods and things like that that are more rare, and we don't offer returns on that because we're going to get it back. It's going to sit in our in-stock section, and sometimes they're hard to resell, not because they're not gorgeous, because it's not exactly what you want. And if you're dropping that much coin on an instrument, even though our values are really high, still, you're going to want it exactly your way, and you're willing to wait. Where if the instrument's lower price, a lot of times you're willing to compromise on things. So that's why a lot of our more expensive instruments don't have a return on them, because we're using exotic woods that are limited supply, and we know that they're going to be more difficult to resell if you, on a whim, decide, I don't want this anymore. Well, it's yours. So, and a lot of custom shops don't even offer a trial period. So at least we still offer a trial period on the majority of what we make, and we tell you, hey, if you add this option, it'll make it non-returnable. And then it's up to you to decide, is getting it this specific option more important, or being able to return it more important to you, and then you get to decide.
Matthew Bass, is Select Raspberry Jam a Jeff to do finish?
You know, it was at one point, but I do have one person here that does it. So it's no longer a Jeff to do finish. You know, I had so many finishes that were Jeff only, and, you know, it was getting hard to, you know, keep up with everything else that goes on here. You know, from working with artists, designing new models, making sure the shop is running good, you know, testing out new things, trying out different products, you know, and obviously working on a lot of instruments, right? And so having to kind of pass that torch a little bit to key people here. And they're the more basic finishes like, you know, Select Raspberry Jam. You know, it's not a hard to do finish. Yeah, you have to do it a certain way, and it takes a good eye to do it, but it's not like Arctic or some of my other finishes that I do where they're very complex to get them to look like that.
What finish is on that Spalted Maple HD next to you?
I think that's a Cherry Sunburst.
What guitarist, dead or alive, if they called and said, I need a custom build and I need it next week, would you drop everything and get it done?
There's a few people that have done that for. Yeah, there's actually quite a few. You know, it's without naming any names, I've done that quite a bit. It's getting harder to do that sort of thing, just with our pure backlog here. You know, we have put a small dent in we were over 1,300 in the works. Now we're about 1,260. That's still a lot. And we're working a lot of overtime. I mean, my head painter is still here right now painting. He's been here since 6 a.m. and he's still in there painting. A lot of my polishing department, fretting department, you know, they're working a lot of overtime. We did hire, I believe, 2 people today. And I think we still have 1 or 2 more open positions here at the custom shop. So if you're local and you can come down in person and fill out an application, please do, if this interests you. If you're not local and you can't come down in person, then please don't bother, because that's the only way we take applications is in person. There's no, hey, I have all this experience, you know, and I'll move from fill in the blank. We don't do that because we don't want to feel obligated on our end to hold on to someone because they relocated. So we want the best person for the job, and you as a consumer, you're getting that guitar. You want that. You want us to be like that. You want us to strive for constant perfection and excellence here, and that's what we're doing. You know, just really trying to get the perfect staff. And there's always room for improvement. You know, we have an amazing staff, but I'm confident that, you know, adding to it and doing some things a little differently will continue to evolve Kiesel.
Jeremy Anderson, how much is the deal of the hour? My video skipped.
That's $1,500 with a case shipped right to your door.
Do the Theos, Delos, and Greg Howe models all have the same body shape?
No, the Delos and Theos do, but the Greg Howe does not. The difference between the Theos and Delos is the rounding of the body and the pickguard. Those are the same exact shape.
Do thinner guitar bodies affect tone, and how thin is your thinnest body?
So our thinnest body is about 1.62 inches, so just over 1.5 inches thick. And yeah, it will affect tone. If you start getting the bodies too thin, I'm a believer that the tone is not there. So, you know, I mean, some of the thin guitars are really cool and that's neat, but you know, you think of an acoustic, and when you have a thin body acoustic electric like ours versus a full body acoustic, think of the projection. And, you know, it does sound different. So it's no different with a solid body instrument. It's just the magnetic pickups do such a great job of filling in some of the voids and the gaps there that it's not as noticeable, but it's still a difference. I mean, you wouldn't want something paper thin.
Eric is asking, what type of rosewood do you guys offer on fretboards? Where is it from and the variety?
So it, you know, really depends. You know, we get a lot of Indian rosewood, and that's typically what we offer, but we've had all kinds of rosewoods over the years.
Are there any compounds or cleaners you recommend for a guitar with a satin finish?
You know, there's nothing I can name off the top of my head, but I always tell people to check out Meguiar's or Mother's car care products, and you know, whatever they recommend, I mean, you know, they're going to put a lot of research and development into that, and I think those are two really good trusted companies.
I bought a headless Japanese guitar, and when I tune the E string, it just doesn't tune. Can you help me out? I will pay you.
I'm sorry that you're experiencing that, but I don't have any experience with that guitar, so you're going to need to contact that manufacturer. Hopefully they can help you.
Lewis is asking, are your acoustic guitars intended for plug and play exclusively, or can they also be enjoyed unplugged?
You know, they will have some volume unplugged, but it's not like a full body acoustic. They're intended to be performed with, you know, live performances when plugged in.
Can you forge us some of those sushi knobs for sale?
Dang. Yeah, no, only on the sushi model. So if anybody's ready, call my guys.
What's your favorite type of music?
I'd say metal.
Scott Wares, how much of a price increase is going to happen on the V220 and SCB?
You guys will have to wait and see. I'm not getting into what's going up what. Everything's going up. Nothing is staying the same. Every single model will be going up. So that's all I can say. You know, we're getting price increases on our end. Paint, sandpaper, supplies, workman's comp, you know, everything keeps going up. So we're continuing to get price increases. Some of them are very unexpected, and we have to pass that on. So yeah, it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it.
David is asking, are you guys considering adding the Richlight fretboards as an option?
You know, we've built a few guitars with them. We'll see what the future holds.
What fretboard wood would look good with a walnut neck and headstock?
Walnut neck and headstock. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of having the walnut neck and headstock and then obviously a mismatched fingerboard. That would not be the way I would normally go. I like Royal Ebony fretboards a lot, especially on walnut necks. They look really good. And if you're looking for that more natural wood grain pattern, I would recommend putting a Royal Ebony head plate on there as well. So that way you have, when you look at the instrument, you see Royal Ebony all the way down. Like this one has all maple all the way down. It looks really good.
Tim is asking, hey Jeff, planning our next build to be a JH6 for my son. Are there any must-have options in your opinion?
You know, the way it comes factory is the way to go. The only thing I would have him do is just pick out what his favorite color is. The way it comes standard is the way Johnny plays it. He wanted a player's guitar, you know, and that's what we built him. We built him a very affordable player's guitar. And as you know, Johnny really makes that thing sing. My favorite probably is the Scarlet Red, just because that's what Johnny played from day one, and I just gravitated towards that. And every time I think of a Johnny Highland, I think of the Scarlet Red one, and he calls it Scarlet, of course.
What is a KTB?
It's a Kiesel treated board, meaning the fretboard itself is colored. There's a coloring process that I came up with over 20 years ago, and I've been doing fretboards. for a really long time. And so you can get single colors, fades, where maybe it goes purple to pink or blue to natural, whatever you want. Really, there's kind of almost no limit. I don't want to say no limit because, we got to be realistic, but it's a lot of really cool things you can do on those, or I can do on those for you. So.
Can you build a guitar that looks like it's made from a church pew?
Anything's possible. It's not something I'd be doing right now. We don't typically use outside wood sources. On occasion, we allow customers to send in their own wood. So you can call my guys if you're really serious about it. There's typically extra charges when you send your own wood in. It's not, a lot of people think, well, I'm going to send in my own top, I get a discount, right? No, it's actually more because we have to take your top you're sending in, we have to kiln dry it, get it to the right tolerance before we even work with it. It's actually more work for us, so we charge more.
Axel is asking, does choosing the reversed GT headstock instead of the 2-4 outbalance the Vanquish, or is the neck dive negligible?
I think it's okay on the Vanquish, to be honest. That horn button is out so far. If it was a single cut guitar, I would tell you, you're going to want to really stay with the smallest headstock. But seeing as how it's not a single cut guitar and it balances so well anyhow, I think you're going to be just fine. And that GT reverse headstock looks hot on the Vanquish. If I would have had the GT headstock when I created the Vanquish, I would have made that standard, not the 4+2.
Drew is asking, to make my guitar headless, can I use any saw?
Absolutely, it's your guitar.
What kind of tone do I get with a chambered mahogany body and 2 lithium humbuckers?
Amazing. That's what you get. Honestly, I love that sound. Throw a maple top on there and you have yourself a winner.
Christian is asking, can you go over the different tremolo systems for the Delos?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Delos, you can get a Kiesel trem, which is a more modern, very smooth, fast break. I will call it something where you're not going to want to be palm resting on. So it's a very modern system. You can get a Goto, the 510, which is a more classic system. And for those guys that tend to rest their palm on the bridge, I recommend a Goto because it's got knife edging on it. With knife edging, it requires a little more resistance to get that trim to break and start moving. So really, it's those two systems for the Delos. We don't offer a Floyd on the Delos. And the reason why is we feel like that particular model lends itself well to the 2 bridges that we've allowed people to get.
Is the 20% deposit a good deal on your deal of the hour?
No. So when I have a deal of the hour like this, it's paid in full. They're ready to go. We're not going to take a deposit to hold a guitar that's ready to ship out.
Can you recreate PRS's Northern Lights finish?
No, it's not something I'm going to do. I've done my own version of it, but I try not to recreate another manufacturer's finish that they're very well known for. I've seen it happen with us very often, and it's I know how it makes me feel, so I try to respect others and do a slight variant of it.
Justin is asking, does the satin finish on necks gloss over like the satin bodies?
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to. Yeah, think about it like this: a satin is it's a textured finish. You don't see the texture because it's microscopic. As you're rubbing your hand across it, whether you're playing or your arm's coming in contact with the arm bevel, or your palm or wrist or whatever is coming in contact with the surface of the top, you're polishing it, right? And so as you polish that surface, it's going to gloss up.
Jonathan is asking, are there any plans to offer 8-string guitars tuned from a low B to a high A?
We do custom tunings, so if there's something you're interested in, call my guys.
Have you seen any Koa Delos being worked on?
I saw an HD Koa today, so a headless Delos that was amazing with 3 single coil pickups in it, and I looked at it, I was pretty blown away. Just a Koa body, very clean. I think that one is ready to ship out, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, but it was pretty hot.
Ryan Maines, Jeff, have you been listening to any Daft Punk lately from a certain soundtrack?
What's up, Ryan? I have not been listening to any, but it's always some good stuff, you know, when you're out in the garage working on the car, or even here. I mean, a lot of times here, sometimes will zone out with some music like that, but usually that's kind of in my garage at my house when I know I'm going to be a really long project, 8-10 hour project. Then I'll put some music like that in where I just kind of lose track of time and I don't get fatigue. Yeah, some good stuff there.
Is a MIDI synth equipped Vader possible?
No, we don't offer any MIDI on our headless guitars. The compartments that we would need to put the controls into are too small for us to put all of the electronics. You look at the top of the guitar and you see, well, it's got an extra knob, no big deal. Well, it's got a big circuit card that we have to fit in there and all the wiring and stuff. So it's not something we can fit with our current cavities on our headless guitars.
Any 9 strings in the future?
No plans for one.
Justin's asking, what's the upcharge for a one-piece top, or does it vary depending on the type of wood?
You got it. Varies on the type of wood and the model.
What does Black Limba sound like?
Black Limba has a little bit brighter sound for a body. Guys typically like it a lot. They compare it to like a walnut sound almost. Not quite as bright as maple, but they tend to cut through. And so for metal music, they're actually a pretty great body to use.
Can you put the Crescent inlay on any model?
Pretty much any guitar model that I could think of, yeah.
Sean is asking, does fret sprout naturally reverse? I'm currently in Nevada where it's 10% humidity, but will be returning to San Diego next week. Hoping not to have to take my Vader to a tech, but can if necessary. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a big thing. So what Sean's experiencing right now is when you get out to a desert type of environment, Nevada is a great example, Arizona. And what'll happen is the wood on the fretboard can shrink in a little bit. Well, when it shrinks in because it's contracting, the moisture level that the wood has, even though we've dried it and done everything to it while working on it, we've built the instrument in a 40% humidity environment. And the wood's acclimated to that. Well, when you take it to another environment that's 10% like, Arizona or Nevada, that fretboard over time can shrink in a little bit and your fret doesn't move, right? So you're feeling the edge of the tangs, the fret sticking out because the fretboard shrunk in. The good thing about that is if you file that, just the ends of the frets, it's not a hard process. You just have to be careful. Typically recommend having a tech do it, but it's not something that is impossible for yourself to do if you're handy, But once you take care of it, that's it. Because the fretboard's not going to continue to shrink in. There's a maximum that's going to shrink in, and then it's going to spring back when it gets more of a humid type of environment. So we always recommend people to keep their instruments, if they can, around 30% humidity is ideal for them. Of course, if it's more humid because you live in the South or somewhere like Nebraska where it's really humid right now. I was talking to a buddy today in Nebraska, and he was telling me it's like 95% humidity today. You're not going to experience those kinds of issues.
What makes raw tone non-returnable?
It's a great question. So with raw tone, pick this right back up. The raw tone, because it's an open grain finish, it's really hard to clean. So you get the guitar, you give it 10 days, you test drive it, you're like, I don't know, I don't want it. I have almost no way of cleaning it. So how do I sell it as a brand new instrument? So you got to think about it like this. You wouldn't want to buy someone else's 10-day tried out raw tone because with all these open pores, it's hard for me to clean. So we don't offer a return on something that is really hard for us to get looking 100% brand new. And that's also a good point too. If you have an instrument, even though it has a 10-day trial period, let's say you return it, but you dented it, you dinged it, you did something to it. It doesn't look perfect. Well, that's, depending on how bad it is, it's either going to be a restock fee or we're going to say, no, that's yours now. So keep in mind, it's not like you have 10 days and you're just going to rental car it, you know. This is, you got to treat the thing like kid gloves, you know, like it's got to be pristine. Imagine you're opening the case for the first time. How would you want it? How would you want it to look? And if you're looking at it going, oh man, I know that's not the way I would want it, you can't send it back. Or if you do send it back, expect a restock fee. That's just, you know, common courtesy, you know, type of thing. I say rental car it because I think most of us, when we've rented some cars, have maybe beat on them a little bit. So I may or may not be blocked from 3 different rental car companies. So may or may not.
Would you guys do a finish on a set of custom pickups as well as install them?
So we will do finish on our pickups, but we will not put a finish on another brand pickups to put in our guitar.
Tony's asking, are the Floyds you use the German model?
They sure are. The original Floyd Rose.
Devin is asking, can you scallop just the first few frets after the nut, like a reverse Steve Vai?
I mean, we could do a custom programming fee for you if that's something of interest. You can call my guys.
Can you add LED inlays on fretboards or necks?
Still not something I'm comfortable with. You know, warranting, you know, a little over 4,000 instruments a year. Look, one little LED goes out and I got to rebuild the neck or rebuild the whole instrument because it's a neck through. It just does not sit really comfortably with me. So at this point, no.
Randy's asking, is there an upcharge for flame tops with a wider flame?
There is. Yeah, call my guys.
Gavin is asking, what do you recommend for cleaning Evo frets? Would it be the same as regular stainless?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do the same process.
Which orange finish will blend great with the natural mahogany body?
I would say our orange candy would probably look the best with the quilted top.
David is asking, do you have any master grade crotch quilt?
I'm sure.
Any plans for Memorial Day sales?
No plans for any sales right now. To be honest with you guys, you know, with the backlog we have, you know, and then the price increase coming July 1, I'm looking at it like this. Everything's on sale because July 1st, everything's going up. So you guys kind of have your notice. So I would call the current prices, you know, I'm holding to the half year point, even though I've had increases. So just holding to the half year point. So you can look at it like you're still getting the low 2021 prices because pretty soon they're going to be, everything's going up.
Can we put the souls of our fallen enemies into a custom Kiesel?
Dang, man, that's crazy right there. That sounds more like something you'd put like in a warlock or something, you know, I don't know. Maybe BC Rich will do that for you.
Christian is asking, do you offer roasted Birdseye maple necks for the Delos?
We don't offer any Birdseye necks right now. You know, there's a big shortage on Birdseye neck blanks. I can still do Birdseye fretboards, just not the actual neck. So a lot of people will call this guy right here the fretboard a neck. I don't know if that's what you're doing, but a lot of people say the neck, even though that's a fretboard. So fretboards, yes on Birdseye, yes on roasted Birdseye. The actual neck itself is a no on Birdseye or roasted Birdseye.
Joseph is asking, if I order a Vader with no top, what determines whether the entire body is painted versus just the wings?
We would paint the whole thing. We don't mask off the neck unless you tell us.
If I had an unlimited budget, how would you design the ultimate bass?
Dang, I don't know. It depends on how unlimited. Call my guys if you're serious.
Miguel is asking, will there be a new comparison video to include the new pickups?
Brandon?
I mean, I guess I could do it for the new pickups. That'd be a lot to redo the entire comparison video just to add like 1 or 2 new sets of pickups.
Just throw the new pickups into it.
That
Maybe you can add a secondary video that you put the link in there to hear like whatever else.
Yeah, I can do that.
There you go.
Ryan, I realize it was my turn. Ryan is asking, can you get a Theos with an HSH configuration?
Yeah, you can.
Have you seen a walnut Zeus with a burrowed maple top in progress recently? I can't wait to see it.
I have seen a Zeus and it had a walnut body, and it was either a poplar burl or a burl maple top. I did see one actually before I left for my surgery.
Tony's asking, is referral credit towards options still available?
No, that was something we tried out and it really kind of fizzled out. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, we're at this point with our custom shop where, the amount of quality we're putting in, we have to be careful with running sales and promotions because, we're shooting ourselves in the foot sometimes, doing these deals, and yeah, maybe you sell some extra, but if you're cutting your margins and then you're just super busy and working all this overtime, what good does that do, So it's still kind of that, kind of learning curve of what to do and when to do. And, to be honest, we just wanted to make sure we were going to stay busy through COVID, and so we ran probably a little more promos than we probably should have, just to make sure that, I want to provide for everybody here. That's my job. I take that role very serious, and, and obviously it's up to, I feel like it's up to me. It's my job to make sure we can be busy enough to put food on everybody's table here, right? I don't want to get rid of anybody. I don't ever want to have to lay people off or anything like that. So, when COVID first hit, it's like, we better ride this, because I thought at some point, this wave is going to crash down, and it still may. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But, we are hiring more people. We're planning on, sustaining and staying busy. But, just being, I guess right now I can't run any sales, even if I wanted to. I can't. We're that backed up. It just doesn't make any sense to run more and be that much more backed up. And we don't want to get to the point where we have to do a ridiculous price increase. We're trying to do just, things that make sense, nothing crazy, but passing on some of the increases we have, because we have to sustain a profit. You guys have to expect that. But, remember, we don't have dealers, we don't have distributors. We have 2 owners here, just me and my dad. We don't have a board of directors to answer to that wants, bigger stock growth and things like that, because as other companies do. You look at the stock market and they're like, well, we want this kind of growth. Well, they have to either cut quality or raise prices. We don't have to do either. Yeah, we have to do price increases when we have increases ourselves, because, well, we're not going to make less money and work harder and make less money. That doesn't make any sense. So, it's kind of the way that I feel like it's optimum, the way we are, not having to answer to anybody and be real people and wanting to remain affordable. And I realize that not everybody's going to be able to afford our guitars, but we are still affordable. For the pro quality instrument starting at $1,200, American made, are you kidding me? It's amazing. It's amazing. If you look at an inflation calculator, you type in a price from the 70s to now, we're actually more affordable than we were in the 70s. That's pretty mind-blowing.
Eli is asking, if the estimated completion time goes up, do the guitars currently being built get added time till completion?
Well, that could be the case, yeah. That could be the case. It just depends on how long ago they were ordered. Obviously, if, let's say you ordered something 8 weeks ago, and now we're raising our estimated completion date, that shouldn't affect you too bad. If you ordered something 2 days ago and we raised the estimated completion date, well, absolutely it's going to affect you. So, we're doing the best we can with that. Realize too, most of our builds are 20% deposit. We want to get them done because we want to ship them to you. We want to get the extra 80% you owe us, and we want you to order another guitar, right? So we're twofold interested in getting you another guitar, or getting you the guitar so maybe you can get another one. The thing we're not going to do is rush. I tell my guys, look, we're busy, but do not rush. Be efficient. Less talk, more work. put some more effort in, more time, but do not rush, because you rush, you skip steps, it's going to bite you in the ass, and we're going to end up having to redo something, and we don't want that.
Can you do a spalted maple top on a Crescent with an F hole?
So we don't offer an F hole on a Crescent. We offer a C hole, and we do not offer spalted maple tops when you get the C hole. We've had some issues with them in the past.
Christian is asking, if my current guitar has a 9.5 radius, should I still go with your standard 14?
I'd probably go with the 10 if you like the way that feels, and that's what you're comfortable with. And you do a lot of bar chords, especially, then go with the 10. If you want some change, you want a little faster neck, you're not doing a lot of barring, and you're doing a lot of picking or sweeping, then try doing a 14.
George is asking, does the Holdsworth only have perfect balance with a chambered body?
It's going to have better balance with the chambered body, but it doesn't balance bad. Realize a heavier body is just going to help the instrument in some cases, but with being headless, you don't need a non-chambered body.
Is black Limba a good wood for a neck wood?
It's a great wood for a neck wood. I prefer walnut myself, when they're tongue oil finish especially. The Limbo woods can have a little more of a grain feel to them, which I don't particularly care for. I like either maple or the walnut. Walnut's my favorite. I just like the way they feel. That closed, tight grain, solid wood necks, they just feel amazing.
Jesse's asking, I love the sound and look of my 2 Swamp Ash Osiris's, but I'm planning on getting a color shift on my next one. Does Alder sound similar to Swamp Ash? I know I won't be able to see the ash through the color shift, and I'm wondering if there's a point to paying extra for the Swamp Ash.
If you love the sound, get the Swamp Ash, because when you look at the price of the guitar, by the time you do the color shift, that's a $400 finish. You're talking about a $2,000 guitar. So if you got to spring, an extra $100-120 for ash to know it's going to sound like what you want, just do it. Yeah, don't compromise on that, man, because it will sound different. Alder sounds great, but it's not going to sound like Swamp Ash.
Andrew is asking, are there any plans for an ML style guitar? That's like the shape that Dimebag played.
No. Yeah, I like how Brandon looked at me and knew I didn't know what the hell didn't know what the hell that was.
What model should I get if I play a PRS?
Well, if you play a PRS and you want to try one of our guitars, you can take a look at our carved top, our single cut carved top, our Crescent, or if you want to do even something where you're like, hey, I like this, but I want something different, try out an Aries, either a neck through or a bolt-on Aries.
Frank is asking, I heard Jeff say that Kiesel can't do nitro finishes. Why?
It's actually illegal to spray in California. So yeah, nitro is not legal. Neither is lacquer to spray in California. You can get big fines. They can shut you down. I know some California companies still spray it, even though it's illegal to do. And if the EPA ever found out, they would get completely shut down. They would take your permit. You would not be able to build anything. So it's not worth me risking this whole operation for one style of finish. And I feel like our raw tone finish does a great job, and it doesn't hurt the environment like nitro does.
Are the Kiesel pickguards customizable? For example, can the pickguard be routed for a single volume knob in the tone position on a Delos?
Depending, yes. You'll have to call my guys. They'll give you more info.
Are you and Lee from Born of Osiris cousins?
No, we're not. No, we're not. Zach's laughing over there. I remember my dad one time, he saw this poster of Lee that we had in the showroom. He goes, looks at it, my own dad, and goes, why are you up there? I'm like, I look at my dad, and I'm like, Dad, that's not me.
Great.
I mean, yeah, we have a similar look, but I mean, my own father, come on, man. Clearly not me. No, he's a great guy. I wish I lived a lot closer to Lee. Or he lived closer to us. It'd be a lot harder for me to move. But yeah, I see him as much as I can. I was texting with him a little bit ago. I posted his personal LM7X that I just finished up in Monster Burst. It's got HSS on it. It's his signature model. Take a look at it. It's on my Instagram. Did a little video. I would have showed it off today, but we shipped it out. So I wanted it out to him. They got some new content. Boo's got a new album out, and they've dropped some new singles. So make sure you check out Born of Osiris.
We got Johnny Highland in here.
Dang, man.
He's saying lizard spit works really well on my raw tone.
Dang, if you say so. What's up, Johnny? How you doing, brother? Johnny texted me the other day, sent me a pic of him with his pink cup. Rocking that pink Kiesel cup. Miss you, brother.
Paul King is asking, would you consider offering fretboard binding on a 25.5-inch scale only?
What's up, Paul? It's still something I don't want to get into that can of worms, to be honest. I just know that type of thing would really slow production down. It would need to be something, if I was ever going to do it, it'd have to be on, let's say, an artist's signature model that came one way, and we were kind of like pre-building the necks, that type of thing. I wouldn't want to do it on a custom shop basis, if that makes sense. I'm working on something really cool for Paul right now. Well, it was working on it before my surgery, and hopefully I'll be feeling good enough to work on it Monday before I head off to Lincoln. I'll be leaving for Lincoln, Nebraska on Tuesday. We got a big race out there and doubleheader, 2 national tours back to back, Memorial Weekend. So I will be out of town racing in Nebraska. The good life.
How do I get started on ordering my first Kiesel?
I would say check out the website, but it's very confusing. And I think we forget that because we know the options so well, but it's hard. It's hard to follow the website. So I'm sorry for that. At some point, I hope to have a better answer, a better solution. But what I would recommend is calling my guys, getting one of my custom shop experts on the phone, looking at some Instagram pictures, things like that, picking out what you like the looks of, and then going through with my guys and figuring out exactly what you want. And I am getting the sign to spin the damn wheel, which I did break the other day.
On purpose.
All right, so here we go. And here goes the wheel. So I'm going to spin it. Whatever the hell it lands on, we're going to do. Hopefully it's not story time. That was the one that was like pegging me for like a while. Like every time it was like, boom, story time. And we're hoping it's not. All right, movie, TV recommendations. So, and I've recommended this series to quite a few people. It's called Snowfall. And I don't know if I've recommended it on this before, but we're back in watching it again. We were taking a break watching The Peaky Blinders, which is another great series on Netflix. But check out Snowfall. It's a great show that is based on some truth and how things went down in Los Angeles for the crack cocaine growth and spread through that community in the 80s. So it's a really good show. They have some really good acting. And it's definitely entertaining. And we are in the current season right now, and we're not all the way up to speed, but it's definitely a good show, so check that out. On that note, we got the top of the hour sold. The deal of the hour didn't sell, but that's okay. It'll go on the in-stock page at the full normal price, which I'm guessing will probably be with the case and shipping, probably close to $1,800. We have very few in stocks. We put them up there and you guys buy them right away, so I'm so thankful for that. If we can do anything for you, answer any of your questions, of course, please call. Email is so impersonal, and I'd much rather have my guys talk to you on the phone and really help you out and dial you in with your sound, the looks you want, and building you your dream instrument, whether it's your first one or your 80th one. We do have customers on their 80th one. So on that note, thank you guys so much for hanging out.